starts. I am going live now. Check, check. Got everything.
So I want to say a special welcome to everyone from the podcast. From us here at Res, I'd like to wish everyone a good time since we last spoke, and happy Halloween. We're doing our special today, in which we'll be delving into some horror aspects. We'll be talking about our own experiences, reading some scary stories, and hopefully just having a good chill time on this time of horror such. And here I am joined with the one and only Zazel. Zazel, say hi.
Oh, well, most of you know me already by Trey and everything, so
Mm-hmm.
welcome. Let's get some spooky times going. Get some spooky tunes, spooky ambience, all that jazz.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. And then also, uh, our special guest today is the one and only Hostile X.
What's up, everyone?
Now, Hostile X, I believe this is your first time on the podcast. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you wanna introduce yourself?
Uh, I'm hostile. I mean, I really don't know what else to really say about myself.
Well, like what are your hobbies? Like, what games do you play? Do you think
I,
Pepsi or Coke? Just some like nice things
I
about you.
mean, I mainly play on Xbox. I mean, I play Call of Duty, FIFA, and all those games. I mean, add me on Xbox. I'm always down to play.
Gamer indeed. All right. So, as I mentioned before, on this episode, on this special, the Halloween special as we're calling it, we'll be delving into some horror aspects, and we'll be talking about past horror, present horror, and what just some random stories we come up with.
SCP-096. No, stuff like that a little bit. We're going over a lot of horror stories today.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. And since your boy here, Hostile, did mention gaming, I want to talk about my opinion. One of the some games that really bring horror and like a new aspect, right? And what better game to talk about than, well, the game, right? Welcome to the game. Yes, sir.
Yeah, as most of y'all can definitely see on the stream, my profile pic comes from the game. It's when you're getting attacked by, DDoS attacks and stuff like that. It's not necessarily like showing realistic situation stuff. It's just like little puzzle games and, all that jazz. Really all it is. But there's the game puts a view, shines a light on like browsing dark web and everything. It's like some people call it the dark web simulator. But it's like it's very creepy because you gotta manage a lot. The first one's not really much to look out for, but the second one there is. But there's also much more ways to hide and stuff like that. But I barely could even get through the first one. I always wanted to play them, but that game and some others were just like there's so much fear that comes from them, and it's just like you're anticipating something to happen. You hear something, and you're thinking, oh god, do I gotta? Because early in the game, you're told how to prevent these situations and everything, and how to hide yourself and stuff like that. But you never know if it's a cue that you need to worry about or anything like that. Because I know in the first one, it's kind of unrealistic little setting. Not gonna lie, you're going down to the dark web. You're not gonna be in a suburb neighborhood with your windows open.
Imagine.
And you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it with the lights on. You're definitely not going to have that computer in broad view of the street. To be fair,
like you're over here, like, oh yeah, guys, don't worry. You can see through my window that I'm obviously doing like something on the dark web, and don't worry, I'm not gonna like shut any curtains or anything.
yeah, the one when I streamed it, the one website that got me was European Firearms,
Oh my
AK-47s and stuff. I got on there to get hacked, and then the breather was coming out. A bunch of kidnappers was outside my house and everything. I literally got in a sense getting raided.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I think what I find most interesting about that game is most definitely like the setting, right? Because some games like they just like to like feed off the whole idea of jump scares like, ooh, you turn this corner and oh, right. I feel like Welcome to the Game has like a different type of fear involved with it, right? Something that some games try to do and just can't, like, commit to it, right? It's like the tension rising and the fear that, something is most definitely going to happen, but you don't know when, right? It's very anxiety driven, and it's probably why I think it's probably one of the most interesting indie titles out there.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely like shine a light on like a lot of stuff too and everything. It's almost
Definitely.
in a realistic format as well. Like very like it's almost pretty much in a very realistic format, like with everything that happens and such. Because that's one of the things about the first one kind of shows. You don't really take like the second one. You can take a lot of precautions to hide yourself, like VPNs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or the first one, you can't.
Mm.
But I know, like, when you read all these spooky stories and horror stories, especially when it comes to the deep and dark web, a lot of times there are people that don't know anything about computers and stuff like that. You go on YouTube right now and you'll see a bunch of dark web stories where people are watching like Red Room type stuff,
Oh
and
no.
then and the story don't end really end there. What happens? The story ends is when a family member or someone goes live because they end up having their information leaked and everything.
Oh my gosh.
That's why it's also like that stuff can actually happen like when you're on the dark web. There's so many different links. Like you click on one thing, like you never know what it can do. I've
Mm-hmm.
been told by many black hats. Like I'm not talking about white hats or gray hats or anything. I've been told by black hats themselves, and it's on most of their hacking websites and everything. You have to be extremely careful what you click on the dark web.
Yeah, because like it's really like a walking through a landmine field or something.
Yeah, you're basically walking through a landmine.
Hostile, have you ever like played Welcome to the Game or seen anything about it?
Never. This is the first time I'm even hearing about it.
So, remember, so we talked about in the past like about like security issues and stuff like that. Welcome to the Game basically does what the general populace fears about the internet and does it tenfold, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the first one, your actual objective is finding the red room.
Yeah,
It's
which
which is basically like that's an actual real thing too. You basically your goal is to sit there and try to find red room, which is a live video feed of people being tortured and stuff like that.
it's really really something.
Yeah, I heard about the Red Room. I watched videos on YouTube about it.
But
It's like
you know,
kind of
but
weird.
but but the thing is, a lot of times though, most of the stuff like the red room and everything will actually make its way to the surface web. Because
Hmm.
a lot of times you'll even see Facebook groups and everything. I've been in some of those.
Oh my gosh.
Discord itself. Discord's actually been a hub. Basically, I consider Discord the very thin lines between the surface web and the dark web.
Yeah, because like this.
I seen lots of shit on Discord itself, like like we're me and you we're in a hack the box. That's like white hat stuff and everything. It's not necessarily like when people think hackers, they always think dark web and shit. It's
Yeah.
not really the case. Like you actually like know where to look to find these type of servers and everything. I remember finding servers you have people's credit card information just posted everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Some were given for free, some were for sale.
But yeah, I think it's definitely something freaky. Because oftentimes you go on YouTube and some stories are exaggerated, right? I remember reading this one specific story, especially about red rooms, right? Where someone was like being like very cocky or whatever, and they're like, haha, I'm the best hacker, I can do whatever, I have a VPN and stuff like that, right? But then
Yeah.
sometimes pride and whatnot, right, can lead to one's downfall. And in this story, this guy's downfall led to that, right? As he was like browsing I think it was deep web, he soon stumbled upon like a little breadcrumbs of like information leading to from like website to website until he got to what he called the black box, right? And this black box had like a secret code or something. And this guy being as prideful as he was like, I'm gonna crack this code, right? I'm Mama, I'm gonna see what's inside or something, right? And after I think he mentioned it was like days or something of trying to like break into it, trying to like refine his place back because sometimes links change and whatnot. He eventually got to it, and what he found is essentially, like you mentioned, a red room, right? Where rich people, or what he says, rich people come into these rooms and just like watch people just get murdered and like for fun, like a live streaming service kind of. So I feel like some of these stories about dark web and stuff are exaggerated, but it's freaky out there. Just like thinking, oh shit, some of these people could be experiencing this stuff, or like these things could be happening in real life. Oh, fine, like I don't know, I just find weird. At least thought provoking, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories that pretty much originate from the dark web itself. Like, there's going to continuously be more because a lot of something's going to come out, and a lot of people's going to make a lot of fear and stories from it. Like, there's a lot of stuff like creepypasta related that actually gets basically twisted. Sure. I wouldn't say twisted, but it's like referenced and everything, and like a bunch of stories as well that people make up.
Oh no, for sure. Speaking of creepypastas, I feel like on the internet, that's like the birth of like a lot of these like like internet stories or whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Hostile, have you ever seen creepypastas or something like that?
I've watched a couple of them. I watched the SpongeBob one.
Oh man.
I mean, I watch like the basic ones. I'm not really into those, but I like know of them, like the Siren Head and all that.
Oh hey, so I guess I got story time for you, eh? Actually, speaking about the SpongeBob one, apparently it actually got referenced in like an official material or something. It's
Are we talking about fucking Patrick?
Like, I think it's a Squidward one, no?
No, there was one. Yeah, there's
one. I definitely remember there was one about Patrick. Like, it was actually taking a twist on like what Patrick actually is, because starfish are supposed to regenerate, they multiply themselves and everything.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically he like almost kills everybody, and it's up to Sandy and Squidward and Mr. Krabs to finally take him down.
Yeah, that one was freaky.
I remember the Simpsons one. They had one with the Simpsons.
Hey. But yeah, I mean, I guess since the setting behind us kind of hints at this, I feel like the most infamous one, or at least the one I feel like has the most presence over the creepypasta genre, is most definitely Slenderman, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Which I find like quite interesting. I was talking to my boy Iron Daddy about this the other day, Connor, about how like the idea of a Slenderman, and hindsight, it's kind of like crazy, right? Like a tall figure hiding in the foggy woods or something, like taking people or something. It's actually kind of like crazy how like how impacted it has been on like the world around us, right? Because not only do I feel it's like the main like creepypasta that people like tend to talk about when they mention the genre, but it's also had like 3 real life cases in which like like crimes have been committed apparently in honor of Slenderman, which it's just crazy.
Like, what would you do if you were walking in the fucking woods and saw some like tall dude just standing there?
He's like, hey guys, don't look at me, don't mind me, He's vibing with the boys, hunting trip. Becomes foggy.
Yep. Yeah, speaking of the fog, there's like a lot of creepypasta when it comes to like, foggy environments and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people don't know that's also Siren Head's typical environment is like foggy, like marshlands and shit like that.
Yeah.
Dude, I'd probably shit my pants if I ran into that.
Like you just
just imagine just walking through the woods, it's foggy, and you just hear like a radio. One of the interesting things about Siren Head as well is the fact that if you have been eaten by Siren Head, it can copy your voice.
Oh yeah.
Didn't
Like,
they have a movie about Siren Head or something?
no, it was
There's a
Slenderman,
lot
I
of
think.
YouTube videos and stuff like that about them. Like,
Hmm.
it's a lot of them are actually really good too.
Yeah, for sure.
I noticed Fallout 4. I thought about trying it myself. There's been a lot of horror mods that's been going up there,
It's like a Silent Hill
especially
one, no?
like there's one that basically it's like Silent Hill, but like very very dark. Adds like a lot of monsters. It adds like this little girl. If y'all ever saw Grave Encounters, the little girl that goes chasing them in one of the scenes. There's like a little girl that like turns in that face and everything that can follow you around and
Oh my.
piss her off. It basically it's like fucking hell on earth.
Man,
Well, I fucking ran. What was that shit you showed me? That what was the last month of Zizu? Was it Hills Have Eyes?
I don't think I ever showed you Hills Have Eyes.
You showed me like a part of a movie. I can't remember what it was. They were like in a church and
he's talking about
Oh, Silent Hill.
Silent Hill,
oh,
yeah.
not Hills Have Eyes. Yeah.
Silent Hill, Silent Hill, yeah, that movie and everything. Especially the pyramid head scene and everything when it rips her skin off and everything just throws it at the door.
When I first saw that, I was like, "What the hell are you showing me, Trey?"
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is this?
Hey, hey, it's you can go watch it anytime.
that
I
is.
mean, actually speak. I want to go ahead and read a little bit about Pyramid Head
Hey, let's
because
go.
not many people really know his origin story, even though it's literally on basically like it's on Dead by Daylight and everything. There's like a whole thing. But so most of the people probably know that Silent Hill is basically all in their head. That's all
Mhm.
it is. It's just basically one wild ass dream. And typically they have many different endings and such like that. But go more about Silent Hill 2, because the one from Silent Hill 2, the origin of Pyramid Head, that was he wasn't the executioner of the cult as other lore has says, but in that he is basically the guy main character's judgment. And another messed up thing to think about, Pyramid Head is what made him come to realization. He was
Okay.
basically Head in the Silent Hill was helping him in a way
Hmm.
to come to his realization that he, not gonna really try to spoil it, even though it's a fucking 20-year-old game. The man can if you actually play the games or just read about them, you'll realize that most of the main characters actually do something fucked up, and
Hmm.
that's why they get sent to Silent Hill. It's basically Silent Hill in a way is punishment.
Hmm.
But I'll read a little bit about Pyramid Head. You know, he is the most well-known enemy of the Silent Hill franchise. He's very popular in Dead by Daylight. He's a muscular humanoid wearing what resembles a white butcher's apron and rubber gloves. Sometimes it's different. Uh, Gets its name from the rusty pyramid-shaped helmet fused to its head with a single small hole in the upper side. Carries an oversized weapon, usually a spear or large knife. Mostly lore consists of the large knife.
Mhm.
Silent Hill 2, it's mostly the spear. But apparently there are multiple in the exist, but Silent Hill 2, it's supposed to be the dream, even though there is multiple in the dream. Um, but Pyramid Head persifies as James's guilt over suffocating his own wife
Oh my.
and everything. So Pyramid Head basically reminds him of what he did to his wife. If you remember when I played Silent Hill 2, showing you the gameplay and everything, you might remember the beginning how the introduction started. So basically, you end up finding that out in Silent Hill 2. But obviously, when we're also playing, there's a scene that Pyramid Head was sexually assaulting one of the other monsters,
No.
which that monster was called I can't remember what it was called. The Lying Figure. They were
Ooh.
like, the little mannequins are called the Lion Figure. There's actually stories about them too. Like a lot of monsters in Silent Hill all have a story and the reason they're there. But uh Pyramid Head is basically like was supposed to be like in Silent Hill 2 is supposed to be a mirror to James' dark nature. So that's why a lot of times like in the game you'll see like a lot of stuff where he's killing like his family members and people he loves and everything, even though like I said it is a dream. But he's like
Right.
Pyramid Head resides as a punisher and a truth bringer pretty much out throughout Silent Hill 2. But the actual one that's considered like the executioner, there's many, much more lore about them, and it's more fucked up than what the one in Silent Hill 2 is.
Man, it's kind of crazy because um, I really should have played the Silent Hill series. I know it's been on my list, but I kind of wish there was a remaster or something. But no, when you showed me those like the gameplay of that, I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, no. The idea of like some like ghostly pyramid-headed digger chasing you, all the while you're trying to like you're realizing that this is basically what you fucking did in like the real life. I don't know. It's definitely something. In your opinion, since we're on the Silent Hill franchise, what's your favorite one?
My favorite Silent Hill, probably 2. That's
Hey,
mostly for everybody. That's because it has the most horror and the best, pretty much a good story. A lot of
hey.
people tend also like 3 and never really got to try it yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you get to play as Cheryl Mason. But the one I did like for a while was Homecoming because I liked the combat in it and everything, and it had a lot more monsters, which I can actually go over some of them. Like some of those monsters and everything definitely has some very, very dark lore. And Homecoming also, going back to what I was saying about Pyramid Head, that in that Pacific universe, uh, Pyramid Head is known as the executioner of the cult and everything. And there is an actual ending in Homecoming where the main character becomes one of the Pyramid Heads.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Really gotta play that series now.
Well, Homecoming you definitely might mostly want an Xbox or something to play Homecoming because Steam port is really, really not good at all.
And now I'm sad again.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and if you're trying to look for the original copies of like 1, 2, and some others are really, really hard to come by, like
especially
hundreds of dollars.
yeah.
But you know, there's a lot that could be really goes on about Silent Hill. Silent Hill's definitely brought down a lot of different types of genres and stuff like that.
Hmm. Speaking of
You know,
like, mhm.
yeah, going back to creepypasta, like Siren Head's basically kind of like stories originates from like the environment of Silent Hill and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I found like the origin of Siren Head actually like interesting in itself, right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
unlike like creepypastas like Slenderman, Jeff the Killer, all that stuff. Siren
Eyeless
Head,
Jack.
yeah, Eyeless Jack. Siren Head didn't necessarily start out as a story. It started out more like just part of like a series of like horror art made by its artist, right? But like as he started doing more art, like there was like a lot of like people talking amongst themselves, like what about this like ghastly, tall, slender figure hiding in the background of pictures, just standing there as a natural, and like fear and like talking about like how like the noises it would make and stuff like that, right? And I feel like it's one of those things that over time, even like without the power of the creator, kind of like Slender Man, I guess in a way, it just kind of evolved and it became something more than just Siren Head. Soon we started like seeing all these like ominous like pictures, like and like what do you call it? Fan made videos of that expand on the Siren Head lore and stuff. I think everyone's
Oh
seen
yeah.
the one where he does the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the stories are definitely like very, very interesting. That comes from creepypasta. Like there's a lot like when it comes to it, there's really a lot of fandoms out there. Like I was saying, Silent Hill and creepypasta is kind of different. Even though there's like a lot of people to like today that still literally like worship, in a sense I would say worship, but you get the idea of the old Silent Hill games. Like a lot of people still glorify them and everything to this day
Yeah.
because like the creators and everything came up with something brilliant,
Hmm.
and that's what you want. Like you gotta look at like Freddy Krueger and you know Jason and those type of killers.
Yeah, because like in each of their own way, you know? Even after what 20, 10, 30 years, these are like still iconic Halloween characters and stuff like that. Not necessarily just
Exactly.
Halloween, just horror in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I feel like, I mean, in your opinion, what's the best? What do you think will win in a fight, Jason
Dude,
or Freddy? I know it's been done
I'm not,
before, but
if I'm not mistaken, they already did the movie.
yeah, is there?
I honestly to believe Jason anyway because it shows no remorse.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could do it again, because technically speaking, I don't think there's a movie about Freddy Krueger coming back from hell,
Yeah.
and like you actually read the lore like Jason and everything. He's more than just a fucking serial killer. Like he is basically a demon himself, and Freddy Krueger is too. But you get the idea.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like I used to read a lot of books, like even like when it comes to like devil worshipping and stuff like that. A lot of people even tend to believe like there's a hierarchy amongst demons itself. So, you know, say in a realistic scenario, if all that was an actual thing,
Mm-hmm.
I think Jason would definitely take the key. He'll definitely pretty much, what's the
He'll,
word, succeed over Freddy Krueger.
yeah, he'll fuck up some bitches.
Oh, I was just thinking that, yo, you ever seen those like memes on like Facebook or whatever, where like they have like all the Chucky and like the what's the clown from It, Pennywise,
Pennywise, yeah.
and all those like Jason and Michael Myers and all those, like they should make like a movie with like all of them like all together.
Like a battle
And
royale.
well, I guess I don't know. I'm like either they team up or they're like going against each other. I mean, that would be pretty dope.
Ooh, actually,
But there's an actual issue with that, and that's mostly copyright.
that is
Yeah.
true. I mean, what if Dead by Daylight ever did become like a battle royale? You could just see like killers like going against each other, and I mean they already have like the license for most of them, right?
Hmm.
Like imagine like
Yeah, that's what happened to Friday the 13th game.
mm-hmm. I think it'll be an interesting concept. Battle, battle to become the best slasher villain.
Yeah, that game was actually good. It just copyright fucked the developers and everything really bad.
Yeah, but sometimes you can't like help or whatever. But I guess S look at S, right? It is what it is. So, as we keep moving on, we talked about a lot of like horror and media and stuff like that, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
one of the most interesting, more contemporary horror, it's not necessarily new, but it is. I feel like it's had a big upsurge in popularity recently, and I want to talk about SCP, the SCP
Yeah,
Foundation and stuff.
SCP Foundation. Yeah, especially like a lot of games. That's actually something Markiplier and PewDiePie used to play a lot. Was the
Mm-hmm.
containment games and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's what like that's also one of the fandoms that started rising up along with creepypasta like Slenderman, Jeff the Killer, Alice Jack, and everything. They all pretty much started coming really popular around the same time.
yeah,
But SCP is like the fandom is actually really really interesting. Like you got people that's like making like continuous YouTube videos about all the SCPs. Like they'll go through all of them. There's thousands of these figures and everything. And like there's like an actual ranking system amongst like the fandom itself because like there's a thing called the O5 Council. Like that's an actual legit thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And it's really interesting because like these are all like curated like people actually have authors to them, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
some of these authors like make something that like impacts the not just SCPA
The
itself.
bonus.
Yeah, Fathona. But it also like affects like other things in media. Like I remember when Control first came out, our friends were telling me, "Yo, it's just like SCP." I was like, "Wait, what's that?" So right, I was like confused, like, "Oh, what's SCP? You know, what's this thing everyone's telling me about?" Like, I know Control's like this big like popular game, but what's this SCP Foundation that people keep talking about? And I dipped my toes in a little bit. I learned a little bit about the original, SCP-173, the peanut, or I guess less of a peanut now, right?
Yep.
And I remember like seeing those videos from like you said, Markiplier, PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye play it. Right? And I was like, oh, that's cool. I guess that's something. But
Yep. Yeah. Peanuts always been most memorable because you look, you blink 1 second, your neck is going to be snapped.
exactly.
I remember he was one that gave PewDiePie a lot of trouble. What's the other one? 106, I think it was. The Brave, the old man.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one that they started adding to a lot of their games and making very much a lot of problems.
I remember playing Secret Laboratories, and when I first saw the old man, like, aha, you're a loser. You're stuck behind a wall, only for him to like walk right through it and take me to his dimension. Man, that was an experience.
The pocket dimension.
Yeah.
You
But yeah,
should have never talked shit.
I should never talk. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Secret Laboratory and everything, there's one SCP that's almost literally hard to take down.
Mm-hmm.
Like talking almost 2 teams of MTF itself. Shy Guy.
Oh, was it classical
He's
096.
yeah, 09 SCP-096. Actually, I want to read a little bit about him real quick, so give a little insight about this guy. So it is said about SCP-096. If you look at a picture, like an actual picture that's not modified in any way, if you look at a picture or take a glimpse at him, it don't even matter if it's a millisecond. He will come and hunt you down and kill you. That's
Mm-hmm.
basically how this SCP works. Like you cannot see his face at all.
Mm-hmm. Hence the name Shy Guy. Oh, like the Shy Guy in the. But yeah, and what's
But
interesting about this one specifically is it doesn't even have to be like an exact picture. It can just be a pixel of his face, and that's enough to trigger what I guess most people call it the frenzy.
yeah, if you cannot see any photos, video, or recordings of the likeness of 096,
Mm-hmm.
because it don't matter if it's an old photo, you see its face, it knows where you're at.
Mm-hmm. And it'll find you, and it will kill you.
It's a humanoid creature measuring approximately 2.38 meters in height. That's not too familiar with meters, but someone could do the calculations most likely. Um, very little muscle mass, so it's a very Shy Guy is very skinny, and like you look at him and you think, oh, this man may be about dead or something from starvation, but got extremely long legs, extremely long arms, and his jaw is like very open, and it
Mm-hmm.
can open up to 4 times the norm of an average human, like his entire jaw.
I can imagine.
I assume it's probably 4 times the norm of a human jaw can.
Yeah.
But he basically looks like a very malnutritioned human, but very tall, very long arms and everything, but extremely docile. It's like every single cell very much indicates where it's being looked at. Like its body's like a like it's a whole entire machine. You look at it, bam, it knows that you're looking at it.
Mm. Run away, hide, scream even. It will find you, and it will kill you.
We have SCP-096. It's not the fuck going against that thing in secret laboratory. Literally the worst thing. It don't matter. Like if I was streaming this, I would have countless clips, and I have maybe under 10 hours of SCP-SL. I would have countless clips of 096 going mauling down Chaos Insurgency teams, MTF teams, like just fresh getting off the chopper out of the vehicle. just spreading and ripping them apart.
Yeah.
And like the whole entire facility will be literally compromised because he goes and breaks down every single door and everything. Because 096 is known to like he's Euclid, a class pretty much, which is basically kind of in the middle, which is very ironic because Peter is supposed to be like the deadliest, or that. But I know most of the time, like a lot of people tend to argue what class actually means because Euclid can basically kill and everything, but they may not prove too much as a threat.
Mostly because the containment is usually easier, I believe.
Yeah, I almost consider like going back to Siren Head, like his figure and everything is basically kind of the same as 096 and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and they're basically like kind of almost have the same behavior. Like Siren Head's, Siren Head and 096, if they're unprovoked and everything, they won't really do anything. But if you provoke them, they get extremely violent.
Yeah. Except one's like screaming at you with the 4 times human jaw, whereas the other one is faking your mother's dead voice while using the radio broadcast sequence. I mean, it's really a pick your poison.
096 are literally just going to shred you apart.
Yeah.
While screaming.
Oh man, it's like if you hear the cry in Secret Labs, you better fucking look down right away. I feel like that's going back to what we talked about the game, right? It's also something I really like that Secret Labs incorporated. The fear of like, frick, I can't like look up, I can't like, I gotta get away, gotta get away, gotta get away. It's a lot less jump scary and more like tension, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is definitely
that's actually like when it comes to a lot of horror games, like horror basically itself, like with jump scares, it came too obvious sometimes the way people do it. Now it's the suspense is what pretty much gets you. You know if this thing's gonna kill you, and you know you can't do nothing about it. That's the moments right there where it's really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those, also another idea of SCP Foundation. Think cabin in the woods, where, and basically it's kind of the same sense. They'll basically like hoard all these monsters. They actually lock them away and everything, and actually send test subjects. Like there's actual lore and everything about SCP Foundation, making test subjects and everything to these monsters and basically feeding them to keep them alive so they can keep studying them.
Yeah.
That's why you have the Chaos Insurgency. Chaos Insurgency and all that basically want to bring down the Foundation. Actually speaking as SCP, another very interesting fact is sometimes SCPs are living villages or buildings.
Oh yeah. I feel like
I remember
Sorry.
I remember reading this one or watching this one video. It was about a guy. He was sitting there driving through. He's like a movie director. He's driving through the desert, right? And it comes across basically like this old ass airfield and everything. There's like a few hangars and everything, but nothing's really too deteriorated and everything. Everything's kind of fine. Well, he goes look around. Most of the stuff's fine. And he starts hearing noises and stuff like that in one of the hangars.
Oh my.
And then he goes to investigate and everything. The hangar doors is wide open. He steps in, right?
Mhm.
And he starts hearing a noise, but it's very pitch black. He turns on his light and he knows there's teeth, sharp teeth and everything, like a whole entire mouth. And the hangar door pretty much just closes right behind him. And basically like the floor starts slanting, so he's like falling down into where the mouth of the SCP is and everything. I can't remember exactly what number it was because a lot of the fandom tends to change the numbers around. But it's like sometimes SCPs can be like buildings and stuff like that.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
actually speaking of which, there's SCP videos like Overlord, Dollhouse, Ghost Town, and there's another one I can't. That's the one it's the one I can't remember the name of. But literally, like they go to investigate this old Canadian bunker and everything.
Mhm.
And they're sitting there like there's basically this big underground body of water, and some of them go down to swim in it. I was thinking it was going to be SCP-3000, but it's kind of similar in a way.
Yeah.
Well, so they're down there, they're doing samples and everything, because they don't know what happened. Everybody basically dropped down without a trace. Well, came to find out, the entire bunker was literally a whole entity itself.
Oh.
And basically, they were the so basically, in a sense, they were the virus, and the
Oh.
SCP was getting rid of them. So a lot of the people that were there working in this facility, they got killed and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They're like in these zombie formats and everything. They're hunting down these soldiers and everything. So the only thing they were really left to do was block off the entrance and everything, and basically block off, making sure no one goes down there and investigates.
Yeah. Oh man. Actually, you were talking
That's
about. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh,
No,
nothing.
you go ahead.
So you were talking about like SCPs that encompass like a whole like a building or something, right? This kind of
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of this one specific SCP. It's called O Death. I forget the numbers exactly, but do you know the story of O Death?
I could look it up in just a second, but it sounds familiar.
So, and like a quick summary or whatever, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
basically a cave that once you go through it, you get transported to an alternative universe or something like that, right? But the
Mm-hmm.
difference in this universe is that everything, down to this, the smallest, biomolecule, is dead. Like every single thing, dead, frozen in place, not even decomposed. It's all dead, gray, if you must imagine it somehow. And this MTF squad is over here exploring it, right? Trying to find
Mm.
out what is causing these anomalous, situations, right?
Yeah.
And they as they stumble around and trying to find like the origin of why everything is dead. I believe they end up running into their counterparts and some notes left behind by them, right? Before the end times, as I guess we'll call it. And supposedly, oh, death is, I won't call it like a virus, but it acts like one, in which it affects a reality and essentially works within that reality to kill everything, like bringing the god of death to a certain plane of existence, right? And
Mm-hmm.
from this universe, that same MTF squad that went in, their universal counterparts, found the cave of Death, went to it, explored it, and came back, unknowingly bringing the plague of death to their universe.
Yeah.
And and before
That.
they could stop it, well, you know, that happened.
Yep. And that's actually a very very good complex too and everything. Because there's an actual going back behind the lore as well. SCP is set in multiple universes. There's some universes to where like a certain, I can't remember. It was like the god destroyer of worlds was like contained,
Mm-hmm.
and it was supposed to come through this door. I
Mm-hmm.
remember watching a video and everything about it.
Oh yeah.
And so basically, like the destroyer of worlds and everything is going through country and country, killing and destroying everything. And basically, like all the information and everything they have in that universe, they're literally transferring into another universe to warn them, saying,
Right.
"Hey, this universe is closed off," and everything.
Yeah.
Interesting fact when it comes to like the SCP Foundation, most of their knowledge and beginnings basically come around like World War II era and everything. So
Yeah.
that's like, like you also gotta look back, like especially in World War II, there's a lot of like theories of teleportation and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of like where we see a lot of what do you call it? A lot of like COD zombie influences, I guess.
Mhm.
For like a weird comparison.
Mhm. But
Yeah.
speaking of which, I want to go over some really fucked up SCPs.
Hey, go for it.
SCP-401 the Evildoer, or also known as the Palm Tree, sometimes known as the Human Tree. It basically is biologically and genetically a human, but it's in the shape of a tree made of various human body parts. Now, it's basically supposed to resemble a dead white dead white tree. It's made of bone tissue, separated by multiple vertebral columns woven together by bone and tendons. At the base of the trunk are human hearts that pump blood throughout the figure, and the roots are tipped with fully formed human mouths that include lips, teeth, jaws, and prehensile tongues. These roots lead to a stomach, which in turn has a sphincter to remove waste. The branches are human arms with hazel eyes growing from every fingertip. During spring, 401 will grow female genitalia from its palms, which later transfer into male genitalia before falling off. Now, I remember reading this because apparently, like, it is considered to be under like control and everything, but it's discovered like the origins basically is discovered in France, looking up blood from the ground and everything. So basically, it has to be kept given nutrients to keep surviving. But there's like a certain time period about this SCP where no females are allowed to be near it because it will try to rape them.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Like you're talking like human tree.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the messed up SCPs out there.
And also, while reading through this, SCP-401 had a heart attack at one point, but the dead heart was discarded and 2 more were grown in its place.
Oh my gosh. So it's like one of
This is like some fucking The Thing type shit.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of reminds me of the unkillable lizard in a way, I guess. You know, you lose one heart, you gain 2 others. But you know, I feel like it's definitely one of the more iconic ones in SCP lore. Yeah. And you know that while there's a lot of horror-based, you know, SCPs and whatnot, there's also the joke SCPs, which are usually classified with -J. And you know, apparently some of them slip through the cracks from time to time. And you know, we have masterpieces like SCP-5167, also known as When the Imposter is Sus. Also, I have a question.
What's up?
Have you ever played the popular, widely spread mobile and PC now going Switch and console game known as Among Us?
Who hasn't?
Exactly, right? So this SCP, as I mentioned, is called When the Imposter is Sus. It's essentially where this being, known as Phothonus, invades your game. And do you have the chat what it says by chance? I think I have it here somewhere. When asked where he was, he tends to mention that he was there when the mountains were newborn and the oceans virginal. He was there when the gods walked among men and their wisdom was cast down like sunlight. He was there when mankind was capable of legends, and now he says that he finds himself in a world that has forgotten even the taste of life, even the very concept of life beyond existing from one day to the next. More continuance, where all the world is wasted away to idle play of emotions that once rang true. This is the being known as 5167, Phothonus, and When the Imposter is Sus. Which is just to say he's an Among Us player.
I still think Phothonus is Maddie.
Yeah, Maddie is most definitely Phothonus.
Brady is Sus.
Wow. So, SCPs. Definitely something I recommend anyone, you know, look into more. Especially, I feel like
049.
049. Yes, sir!
Plague Doctor, yeah. Actually, also another iconic SCP out there along with Peanut.
Mm-hmm.
SCP-049 is contained within a standard secured humanoid containment cell. So, I actually read an interview, quote-unquote recorded interview with SCP-049, also known as the Plague Doctor. Now, here is some characteristics about SCP-049. SCP-049 is not wearing any costume or anything. It is believed that the mask and the robes are actually skin tissue.
Oh my.
and it is very too much to believe if the SCP-049 touches you, you will die.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, according to SCP-49, it believes that there is a thing called the pestilence runs
Ooh.
within deep of all of us and everything. And the origins of also SCP-049 actually do date back to the Dark Ages when the Black Plague and the Plague Doctor all pretty much was like very common. SCP-049 also has ways to reanimate dead beings under its will.
Ooh.
But SCP-049 is rumored to continuously try to find a cure for the pestilence that so amongst runs deep within everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But there's many theories of what the pestilence actually is. Is he talking about the bacteria that runs within our bodies? Or, it could be just about anything. Because, like, there's still tests going on. SCP-049 can't necessarily be, how would you put it, examined and autopsied. They have to actually ask the being questions to find out what it wants, what it believes, and its knowledge.
I feel like the most interesting part about 049 in comparison to the others is this, this anomaly is very, very noticeably not only sentient, but he's also an intellectual, right? Like he knows what he's doing is what he's doing, right? He's obviously killing people, but in his warped like mind is like he's not killing them. He's like curing them, right? He's
Yeah,
making them like something. He's making them free from this pestilence. I don't
a
know.
lot of people tend to believe that the pestilence is oxygen, which there's a lot of ways to really tell, but not many know how to really explain each.
I read like some theory that people say the pestilence that runs between humans, as in 049's perspective, is free will. That's why when he cures them, they're zombies. They're not. They don't have a will of their own. They follow,
Mm-hmm.
instinct or something. Just something to think about, right?
Mm-hmm. SCPs. SCP itself. Also, another interesting fact about the SCP Foundation is 01 S 01 SCP itself, or sometimes known as 001.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of ideas that try to say what it is in a sense. So basically, there's Scarlet King himself, which is literally a demon king
Mm-hmm.
that will take over the universe at one point. There's one it's called When Day Breaks.
Oh my
So
gosh.
literally, so this one was actually really, really fucked up, especially when you read the story. The sun literally, like, something about the sun changes and it starts killing people just through daylight. And we do have to have the sun to also survive and grow food and everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, the sun literally basically starts killing everything, and it starts mutilating bodies. Like, each body like starts coming together, gooey and everything, like coming as one. And like you'll just see like huge piles of mass humanoids all clumped up together,
That's
chasing people in the caves and the darkness and research facilities and everything. And that's what is rumored to happen when day breaks is released upon the world.
Yeah. I can
Like you can't go out in the sun or anything. Literally, the world would pretty much at that state would have ended.
It's really like one of those like what do you call it? Like twists on like the natural world, right? We rely so heavily on the sun that when that becomes our enemy, quote quote, right? It really turns our life in like an inversion, right? Now we're fearful of the sun. We can't like trust its properties. Because not only will it kill us, it'll like mutate your own being to some like you know, bad, right? How would you feel if you were disfigured and turned into a blob hostile?
Um, I don't. I wouldn't really know what to do, man. I mean, I'd just be there.
You're just happy to be there.
I just put me in a fucking box.
Yeah, guys, don't worry. I'm like a blob now, but I'm just happy to be here.
But also thinking, you know, as like go back to being buildings, the sun itself, a demon king. SCPs also can be taken as a form of a duck.
Ooh.
A dog.
Yeah, like a toy duck. And you know what the power behind it is?
Mm.
Is he just
You
says
touch
flash?
you touch it, you have X-ray vision for a little bit.
Ooh.
You can see basically through the eyes of another, in a
Ooh.
That
sense.
that sounds actually pretty awesome, yo.
I.
I mean, like you just touch a damn duck, and then all of a sudden you're going quack quack.
But yeah, like there's a lot to really go over, but you know,
I
you
mean,
get the idea.
I don't know much of like these scary stories. I'm just here listening. I mean, this is all news to me. if it
Hmm.
wasn't if it wasn't for you, Azazel, I probably wouldn't even know half of the stuff that I know now about like SCP or any of that.
Yep. But all right. So we're about to hit the hour mark. We're going to have our little ad break here and
Mm-hmm.
everything. We'll definitely get back and start telling some more stories. Maybe to talk more, go back into creepypasta or Silent Hill, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Really a lot to go over, but yeah, we'll end this right here for just a little tiny break. So
We'll be back
catch
in
y'all
a
on the
few
Charles Pod.
minutes.
Alrighty, and we are back on our little ad break.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, so kind of get back into business, get back for that flow of stories. So really, like we've there's a lot of all these fandoms: Silent Hill fandom, creepypasta, SCP. There's fandoms of over fucking DVD and stuff like that. Like they
Mm-hmm.
have their own amongst the characters. Oh, that's like separate from the movies and stuff. But the thing is, horrors are really, really, really good, spooky vibes.
Yes, sir. I feel like we talk about like spooky stuff in media, but have you guys ever had like any your own experiences with like spooky things?
I couldn't say Bloody Mary the third time in the mirror. I,
Oh.
cou- I just I couldn't. We even had Bibles in our hands, holy Bibles, and we're not talking like those little college or school ones. We're talking legitimately holy Bibles in our hands, and we're sitting there saying Bloody Mary, and we get to the third one. I'm like, God damn it, I can't do it.
I feel that for sure. No, I you cannot catch
I
me
think
fucking dead. No.
I think mostly for me, it's most of my spooky events happen in my dreams, because
Mm.
it's like the way. So it may sound a little weird, but the way it happens is when I'm in my dreams, everything and I see in my house and everything is exactly what it is.
Yeah, yeah,
Like there's the toaster, there's the microwave, there's the refrigerator in this spot and everything, and that typically uses my general behavior, what I do, you know, at a specific time late at night. I may go in the kitchen and stuff like that. I remember, and I still remember the same exact dream. I remember it was when I first started going back to church and everything. Don't really
yeah.
do it anymore, but I remember going inside, like I was dreaming in my bed, like I'm sleeping in my bed, dreaming I'm in my bed, and seeing like something just moving through the ceiling. I remember not minding much about it, and then I go in the kitchen, and then as soon as I get to like past the refrigerator, the whole house starts shaking. There's like this huge demonic voice just sitting there screaming at me,
Oh.
and it was like through my head, like everything was my head basically.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh my,
But
no.
But like an awakened sense and everything, I can't really remember at the second. I will say that I've been having planned to go to some spots. There's like a place around me called the Dead's Children's Playground.
Oh, what a nice name.
Yeah, basically like it's been a little playground. It's been in the city since like 1910 and stuff like that. And there used to be a lot of children that went there until the Spanish flu and tuberculosis basically swept through the southern states and killed a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It's also a playground right beside a cemetery, so.
Oh, just like a little cherry on top in the whole situation.
Mhm. We also had this old hospital, and a lot of people had rumored that it was haunted, but it was very easy to get caught going inside because it was in the middle of basically like a city block and everything. And more the fact that it was asbestos and everything was everywhere, so you definitely didn't want to get that shit in your system.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you, Ray Blast?
Well, besides, I think we're, where I'm situated in, real life and all that stuff, there's a lot of like freaky stuff around us, right? Like we have, stories as old as the place is, because my town is like really old, in comparison to like probably most towns. At least that's what I think it is. So there's a story plus 1,000, right? You can like go anywhere and find one. But I feel like the ones I had most personal was probably at Halloween night of all things, right? And I like talking about this occasionally in my streams because something fun to talk about, right? But I feel
Yeah.
like this one is just something that has stuck with me even after years of it's happening. So to set the scene, it happened in like I said, Halloween. It was Halloween night. We were nearing midnight, and of course, being high schoolers, we really didn't have like like any set. Oh yeah, guys, we're just gonna go hang out, talk, or we wanted to like have fun, and being Halloween, we wanted to like, scare ourselves, not just ourselves, but each other, right? So
Yeah.
we're out here, we're touring, the general area where we, everyone goes trick or treat. We're just, vibing and such until we go past this road. And to put this in perspective, everywhere around us was pretty lit, pretty well lit, it was like a downtown city area in a way, except this one road. And it's not because it was an alleyway or anything. It was like a main road, but for some reason this road was like it just wasn't lit any person the others, right? So we were like, haha, it wouldn't it be funny if we all went down this road, just like nonchalantly, and just keep doing our vibing session this way. And we all agreed, it was like, we didn't have anything to be rushing for, and we just wanted to do something fun. And we keep proceeding down this road, just taking in the darkness as around us until we come to the last street lamp, right? And there's still enough road in front of us. But the one thing that caught our eyes right away was a large cemetery to our left, as I mentioned, a little cherry on top. In this cemetery, it was full of like it's an old town. The cemetery was pretty well packed, and ironically, it was open, which is something I noticed right away because every time I've seen this type of cemetery, it usually has like like block, like a big block or something, right, preventing just anyone else from coming in. And so my friends noticed it. They pointed out and like, oh, that's something. And we're just over here. We're just talking about like noticing the weirdness and like when we suddenly hear a few like twigs. I know this sounds like a cliche, but we heard like a twig, not necessarily a twig, but noises behind us. Of course, with it being only one street lamp and it's like near midnight area, so far away from the whole town, we really couldn't make out anything. And within our fear, we didn't really have the thought process of bringing out our flashlight. So in almost an instant, we decided to run away. Right, two of us ran back to where we went. While the two of them, I don't know what their thought processes was, but they were heading right into the cemetery, weirdly enough. And this is kind of where the story kind of falls apart because I didn't go with him. I was one of the two that went back. But I remember like meeting up like a little few minutes later and kind of like fearing like what the fuck happened, like what was that noise, right? Or like
Yeah.
what was what's happening. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's one of my own personal scary experiences at this
Not
time.
too hostile.
Are you talking about like real life events?
Anything you experience or yeah.
I mean, based on what you said, I mean, I've been having some crazy ass dreams. I mean, I get like the same dream like over and over again. I mean, like it's like a realistic dream. Like it's the same house, same everything's like same family. It'll be like I'm in a zombie apocalypse and shit, and like the zombies are like killing me and stuff. It's
Oh
fucking
my.
weird. I mean, that's really all. I really don't. I haven't really came close to like saying like a ghost or a spirit or whatever, so I can't really speak on that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just get like these crazy ass dreams of like just me in a zombie apocalypse or something. I guess it's probably because I watch too much like zombie shows or whatever, but I don't know. It's like very realistic and it's very weird. Like it'll be like the people I know and everything.
And I got you. Yeah, I've had
I
one
mean,
too many dream of those.
yeah, it's like freaking weird.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's usually those dreams that not only involve you but like people close to you, or, like in real life, that like leave an impact, right? Like remember when I was young, I had this recurring nightmare where there's like this giant ass like tree that was right outside my neighborhood, and like in this dream, it was like my like my neighborhood or whatever. Of course, there were some differences because young me couldn't really recreate the whole place within my head. But I remember this stepping outside and like this giant tree, kind of similar to the one in the background, would just like start coming at me with like like their spikes or whatever, right? And it kept reoccurring until like one day I had like I dreamt of a chainsaw and like cut down that tree. Of all things, I cut down the tree, and weirdly enough, I'd stop having that dream. Who knows? Maybe I killed like a monster and it just disappeared.
Yeah, I was actually actually thinking about that. Thinking of like horror, paranormal, supernatural, and stuff like that. How many with like when you come to these monsters and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
How many would thrive if the person they're trying to instigate with and antagonize turns out to actually be courageous, in a sense like that, and they're willing to really deal with you.
Yeah, for real, right?
It's like just imagine just sitting there playing Phasmophobia. If they put like some feature in, you're sitting there making making fun of the ghosts and everything, and it takes it to heart.
Oh man, Maddie has some experiences with that, huh?
Yeah.
But no, that's for sure, right? Because sometimes you have like when you're watching a horror movie or whatever, your friends like, yeah, I could take them on, right? But I feel like a lot of times it's yes, you could maybe. But I feel like it's the fear factor of being in that situation at that time and that moment, right? That just kind of like discourages people from acting out, right? That's not to say everyone, but I feel like a general populace wouldn't, you know, be that way, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's basically natural instincts for fear and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time, more reason for fear is because you don't know how to deal with that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of people's fear overrides them. Like it basically just causes your whole body basically to shut down.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some disturbing stories of monsters I've read, especially in game lore.
Oh man, there's one too many in Bloodborne.
Spirit from Dead by Daylight is actually one of the worst ones, actually speaking.
Spirits,
So,
which one again?
the Spirit from Dead by Daylight, I still remember her origin story.
Oh, is she the
Yeah, she's the one with the sword and everything.
Yeah.
So you know why she's actually cut up?
Mm.
That was her father cutting her body into pieces and everything.
Oh my gosh.
After her father basically killed her mother and everything too, the same way, because she was sick, and then her father killed her mother. She tried to fight her father, and then didn't work out. Basically,
Yeah, cut up.
yeah. I mean, even thinking like you read fucking Jason's origin story, it's actually pretty fucked up. Like you kind of feel bad for Jason.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't he? I'm not really deep into Jason lore, but wasn't he basically like pushed and drowned in like an ocean or like a lake or something?
So yeah, that's pretty much what happened. He wasn't a very smart kid. He had a lot of mental problems and everything in his human form. Basically, he was getting bullied and everything. They pushed him into the water and he drowned. And his mother was severely pissed about it because all the counselors weren't looking over the kids or anything. They were just sitting there being too busy having sex.
Wow.
And that's basically what happened. So so basically, there's multiple stories. His mother basically was suing them, taking them to court, taking it like the town and everything. I'm pretty sure, and then someone killed her basically.
Oof.
And there's another story saying that she was the one that killed them all on the first night. She killed all the counselors and everything, and the blame basically was like, "Oh, it was Jason." But um, that's really pretty much his origin story to when he go in the water and everything, because he was coming up the exact revenge on it for his mom and everything for them killing her,
Mm-hmm.
and also basically not doing anything to save him. So that's basically all it is. Because you watch the movies, they're also new counselors itself.
Oh, eh?
Yeah.
Which,
That's one of those origins where it's like you just at the end of the day you feel bad for basically the villain in that sense.
yeah, because like it wasn't even necessarily their fault. It was just, what do you call it? Like an outside force just happened to be there at the wrong time and causing, this situation now. So, it seems that we have a new source of torture. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Me?
Oh, you're
Yes,
here,
you.
no?
Oh, who am I introducing myself to?
The podcast.
Oh, I didn't know we were doing a podcast.
Wow.
Well,
Imagine
I'm
asking
sorry.
to join and not knowing what you're joining.
Oh,
him and
hi.
me.
Hi. I'm Maddie. I live in Texas.
Well, you don't have to give that much
You don't have to
information,
get
but
that much
okay.
Wait,
info.
can we just wait? Since Maddie's here, can we just go through the fact of like cancel Maddie?
Oh
Like,
yeah. So
Oh,
yeah, can you also give us the lore behind the cancel Maddie movement?
he doesn't know the
well,
lore. I know
I
the
don't
lore.
really know the lore because all of a sudden it just
You know,
happened.
this actually been very educational
I
episode
know
on
the lore
spooky
of
and
my
horror
own
stuff.
cancellation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't
So,
even know because I was
so
just in a dark.
speaking of
Oh, my
scary
fault.
stuff, we have Maddie here with us.
Yeah, the anomaly Fathanis.
Ooh, spooky.
Huh?
Do I need to
Maddie
give the
is
lore behind my cancellation?
First let Trey explain it. I think he has he's pretty well
so,
knowledgeable. Yes.
so basically Maddie here is an SCP herself, Pathonis.
Mm-hmm.
She's very scary. She has committed humongous amount of like human rights crimes against people and everything. Holds you against your will and drains the souls of her enemies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, she's not even denying it. Oh no.
I suck the souls out of my enemies.
That's what she said.
Yeah. So Maddie, so today's special podcast that you obviously knew about coming in, right? Right. So we're talking
Yeah.
about scary stories and stuff, right? Not just on the internet, but like personal scary stories. Do you have any that you wouldn't mind sharing with us?
A personal scary story. Oh god. Oh no. Well, I don't really have That's scary.
Come on, everyone has that one dream, that one experience that kind of messed them up with it when they were a kid.
Well, I don't really. Oh no! Can you come back to me?
Yeah, no worries.
I need to really think about my childhood here.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So, as we were talking about, right? SCPs, creepypasta, and all that stuff, and then our own real life stories. I think definitely, not only our own experiences, but also our environment like changes how we view things, right? As I've mentioned before, I live in like a very old town that has like all these like supernatural stuff, which really isn't like people are like out there like, oh, the supernatural isn't real or whatever. Well, in my place, it's as real as the person across the street, because even if that person might be a ghost. So environment definitely has an impact on like horror and stuff, right? Because someone who might live in the like a very what's it called swampy area might have their own like horror based things that come out of the swamp, right? I feel like that's a lot of things where like cryptids and stuff come from, right? For example, the Mothman in Virginia and West Virginia. Trey, do you know what the Mothman is?
Yeah, the Mothman. There's a lot, like, there's actually a lot of people that actually think the Mothman was actually real at one point. Like, there used to be moths,
Yeah,
like, used to
yeah,
be that huge. I mean, have y'all seen what a Luna moth, the size of those things are?
yeah. I think they're like really huge, huh?
Yeah, they're bigger than the average human hand.
But yeah, like the Mothman is really like something huge that happened like the Virginia lore so much that like there's actual statues of the what people think it looked like in like what do you call it, the town it came from, right? So we also have like a more like a general consensus, right? Like the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, and stuff like that. It just happen, really enough are like around the world. Kind of makes you think like if there's so much occurrences of these like creatures around the world, as I mentioned, maybe there's like some credibility behind them, right? I don't know, just something to think about, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Like one person cries wolf, it might be a sheep, but two or three, yeah, you have to get something to worry about. And even if they're all in on it, that's enough voices to cause a stir.
You think,
So,
I think it's about time to read some dark stories.
Ooh.
oh, I figured out my story.
Oh, eh?
Go ahead.
I'd say this was pretty traumatic or like scary when I was younger. I don't know about you guys, but
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger, I had my first ghost interaction.
Oh, let's go.
I was like possibly 8, I believe, at the time, and with my mom's old job, since with my mom's old job, I would go in with her sometimes, and I went in with her, and I was sitting in her office, was just her and I there that day, and supposedly there was some type of ghost, like a child spirit that would be kind of roaming the office.
Oh.
Um, because of and it makes sense for what the building was because she was a social worker, so it kind of
Yeah.
makes and there's like proof you can see the apparitions through the cameras, and stuff will randomly go off, but it was always in this child like in her waiting room, like right next to her office. And one time I was sitting in her office and it was just me and my mom there, and still to this day, I'm not 100% sure, but I think like the older I get, it kind of makes more sense. I was just sitting in her chair, and then all of a sudden, the chair kind of like jerked backwards.
Hmm.
Um, and I was like, oh my god. And I was still small at the time, so my feet couldn't touch the ground.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If I was leaning back, that could have caused it to turn back or something, but something jerked my chair backwards, and it was only her and I in the office, and she was across from me. And I really think I had some interaction with that child ghost because that was really weird for me. Just to have that random thing, and it sticks to me because I remember it vividly. But it was really weird.
No, I definitely get that. Yeah. Let's see. I actually have another story kind of like that. I remember when I was, younger, like in my elementary, middle school years, right? I used to have like my aunt take care of us because my parents used to like work, late night shifts and stuff, and obviously you can't leave like middle schoolers by themselves. I mean, you can, but you really shouldn't, right? So we were with my aunt, and she came to our house because it was raining and it was probably like dangerous to go out or whatever, right? So, we were in our house, we were chilling. It was like getting close to night. It was a school night, so we had to turn in early for the night, right? So we're over here sitting. It's 10 o'clock in the night, and suddenly she mentioned that the way our house is set up, uh, the parents' bedroom and our bedroom, where my siblings and I slept at the time, they're like opposite, like polar opposites, right? So she put us to bed, and then went to the living room, which is like right next to the master bedroom. And she said she just, she this is before like smartphones like really like a big thing or whatever. And she said she just, stood there, watched some TV and stuff like that. But she heard like a child's crying emanating from like below her, which is like the first time I ever heard of that, right? Like a child's cry because I lived here or whatever. But she says it was so like close to her, it was kind of like emanating like kind of like right below the entrance of the master bedroom. And I remember her telling her like us that it was so bad that she ended up like just moving over to her where we were stationed at and just staying there until her parents got home. I wasn't the one to experience it, but I can kind of tell like and there was definitely something there because over the years I've noticed like some misplaced objects or whatnot, and then eventually kind of just stopped. But who knows? Maybe there was like a little child spirit just kind of mess with us or something. Something to think about, right?
That's weird. I think between like the whole paranormal thing, it's very like skeptical. There's a whole bunch of different beliefs, but um I don't know. I just find that stuff kind of crazy. Like I believe that there's something out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like especially once you uh like see it yourself, but it's always one of those self-doubting moments. Like did I actually experience it or was it just like my mind messing with me?
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, you never really know until you see it for yourself, and even if you see it for yourself, it's always that self doubt. Well, was it real? Or yeah. So Trey, you mentioned you had some dark stories you want to tell.
Yeah, I got some pulled up right here I can read out for the
Let's
stream and
go.
everything. Alright. So this is it's called It Stalks Our Land.
Ooh.
It's from darkstories.org. Hello. What I've going on has been occurring for a while now. I yet know what it could be, or if it's only just one thing. I live on this nice 1 acre of land, although we live on a busy road. The place isn't too bad though while the sun is up, but it only happens at night. Some nights we can stay in our yard and listen to the night critters going about their business. However, others, everything inside you will yell at you to get inside the house. The feeling of dread and being watched is what mostly happens. Sometimes at 3 a.m., you'll hear what sounds like something running around the house. For a while, our method was just ignoring it. There's so different experience both my mom and me had witnessed. Even my aunt that lived with us at the time had stuff happen to her. This experience with what stalks our land had happened recently, in fact, yesterday to my mother. We have 2 dogs, one full-grown terrier and one puppy pit bull. She was taking out our puppy and my other dog, watching from the window. She felt as she was being watched, she decided to turn around, and while she did, the oldest dog started to bark aggressively, and mind you, he has never been aggressive, not even while playing. As she was hearing him bark, she saw what appeared to be a black shadow or orb charging her, and it was about to reach her. Then she quickly turned back around and yelled, "Leave me alone, you're not welcome here." After that, the oldest dog has no longer kept barking. That once feeling of being watched was gone. A few nights before I had an experience that still shakes me to my core, I was coming back home from running to the gas station. I was scrolling through my phone while my truck was off. Sitting in the driveway, I have no feeling or dread of being watched, so I thought I was safe. Found out I was wrong. I heard what sounded like something crawling on top of my mother's car. I, without a thought, turned my truck on, roaring to life, beaming the light on my mom's car, and nothing was there. But to my horror, as I moved my eyes back and forth, seeing if I could see anything around my mom's car, I heard a noise behind me and a feeling of weight being shifted towards my truck bed, as if someone or something was trying to climb in. Not even turn around to see what's back there, I put it in reverse and slammed my foot on the gas pedal. I assumed I would have hit something, but it hit nothing. Even if it did make it into my bed, me reversing would cause it to slam in my back window, but nothing. I left for a while, and when I came back, I didn't hesitate and ran inside. These are some of the more recent experiences, but there's more I might send, because there's so much to tell about what stalks in this land. And that's that story.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find another.
That story actually reminds me of a couple, stories my friend have told me over the years. I recently went on a slow trip to, the outskirts of my state. And while there, we were up in the mountains and whatnot. And that's when we started, being up in the mountains, dead at night. Sometimes, you get the spooky vibes going through you. And, it being, October, of course, they were, tenfold, right? My friends once told us that because they live, near the, the rural part of the state. They come to, they commute to our class and all that stuff. So they have experiences of traveling on the road. They one time told me that they had to stay, later than usual due to, some just some difficulties in class and some club stuff and whatnot. But they were driving home late, probably it was an hour commute or so. So they left at around 7, and they were coming. They were on the road around 8. Supposedly they said, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, that the roads were already dark and such, and sometimes the darkness can play can play some games on your mind and eyes, right? But they suddenly saw in front of them, a couple 20 feet in front of them, I suddenly just dart past the road, right? And the driver, the one who's telling us the story, they told us that they didn't say anything right away because they didn't want to sound like a crazy person. But their sister, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that thing just go right past them? I don't know. The idea of something hiding in the woods, ironic because we have the woods as a background right now. I don't know. It just kind of freaks me out, I guess. Because the woods are, especially at night, they're just thick with darkness. And, as much as you try and spread some light into it, that darkness just engulfs it, takes it for itself, and in a way, hides you away from everything.
I got another story as well it's a little quick one I can read.
Hey, let's go for it.
This one's actually got some fear factor into it. Alrighty. Back when I was a little girl, my mom had a boyfriend. That's important to remember. So when we moved in with him every day, I would wake up with giant nail marks on my legs and back. My mom used to tell me she'd come in my room where I was laughing a lot to see what was so funny, and I would tell her I was playing with Rose and Zach, but the thing was there was no one there, and this went on for a while. One day, or night, I woke up screaming bloody murder. My mom and her boyfriend came in to see me, bleeding from some very long claw marks all over my body, but they weren't deep. My mom's boyfriend, who always believed in ghosts, immediately called someone to come and investigate the house, but now looking back, I know he was the one who could see the dead. And when he was done, he looked paler than snow, saying, "There's something evil. They want her," he said, looking at me. But me being young, I didn't understand at the time they weren't friends. They wanted me dead. But after a while, we moved out. I don't know what happened to that house or if anyone else has happened to them. And that's pretty much that story.
That's definitely
Y'all like,
freaky.
I like the little deep voice I try to put.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, no, like the idea of like it's just like some entity not only there to like kill you, make your life basically a living hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I'm trying to look for some more stories so we can read out and everything.
hey.
You know what I find really weird?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Going back into like the whole kind of like horror, I guess, like, because it's all spooky stuff or whatever. How supposedly like demons can haunt objects or
Yeah.
whatever. I find that stuff really interesting. And if there's one thing you don't know about me is that I'm all into that whole supernatural like shows and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll watch Zach Bagans and his haunted museum show that he just came out with, his haunted museum and like objects that he kind of goes over. And I actually watched one yesterday and it was about like this rocking chair. And supposedly this family from the UK had this rocking chair or whatever. And Zach Bagans ended up buying it back in 2018. And I guess this little boy got possessed from whatever demon that was taking over the
Oh, you're breaking up.
You're breaking up really bad.
No.
I'll just give it a second.
Imagine.
Alright, try again.
Is this any better? Is this any better?
Yeah.
Okay. If it breaks up again, I may just hop on my PC. Oh dang. When was the last thing you guys heard?
You said something about a rock. Basically, this guy bought a rocking chair.
Oh yeah. Zach Bagans bought the rocking chair. But like the story behind it where there was a family and then the boy went up into the attic because this demon was calling him to get this rocking chair up from the attic or whatever. And he brought it back down to his room, and then the boy ended up getting possessed by this demon that attached himself to this rocking chair. And I guess it was really bad obviously to the point where they had to do an exorcism. But then again, after that, apparently more demons came, because they had some attachment not only to this rocking chair but to the boy. And the possessions never stopped, and they kept coming like over and over and over again. Did you get rid of one demon and then another one would come? I don't know. I just find all those stuff so like interesting.
Oh, for sure. Imagine just living your life, I guess, in the state of possession, almost near constantly, right?
Yeah, just like a constant everyday thing, but it was bad to the point where like apparently the demons would try to get the boy to like kill people, and he would do satanic like rituals in the attic, and it was really weird.
Oh my. No, I don't know what I'd do in that situation.
I think I'd cry.
I most definitely have Sam. Let's be honest.
I actually got a good, decent little story right here called How I Met a Demon.
Ooh, how nice segue we got in here. Alright, go.
Alright, this is also again from darkstories.org. So just the author speaking. This is a true story about when I met a demon. Yes, I actually met a demon. It was the most frightening experience in my life. This was no dream or astral experience. It was real life. For context, the university I was attending at the time had a prayer room that you can go to and pray if you're a Muslim, Christian, or any religious faith you may be. It's like a quiet room or a little designated vacancy where anyone can either pray, have a moment of silence, meditate, unwind, or just get away from the stress of the day and relax.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the type of person who keeps to themselves and not really critical or judgmental about people. I don't really look too far into what other people are doing around me. In other words, I just mind my own business. I'm not superstitious whatsoever. I'm more logic oriented. I like to think there's a proper reason behind everything, but that's just the way I am. Just a little something about me of more bearings for that story. I typically don't have a good memory of things, but on this day I remember it all too well as for yesterday. It's super vivid in my mind, and every time I think about it, I get chills down my spine. What took place in this particular moment was so frightening. It's literally seared into my brain for the rest of my life. Though I remember every detail crystal clear, it's the feeling of indescribable terror that sticks out to me more than anything else. It's my first year at uni, and that day when I found out where the prayer room was located, I asked another student where the prayer room was. She told me it was on the third floor down at the end of the hallway to the right. When I discovered that area had a really nice, inviting atmosphere. There were no chairs or tables. It was neatly carpeted little room that was nice and quiet. I must explain this little detail because it's going to be important to the story. Now, when the students will go to the prayer room during the prayer periods, it will usually just a small number of people who sit on the carpeted floor, do their prayers, and leave. No one really hung around there for too long. Now, the story continues. It was about my second week at uni. I had went to get me a sandwich and a drink in the lunchroom, but it was so loud with the amount of other kids chatting and making a ruckus. I did not recognize anyone that I knew. I did not want to feel awkward sitting there by myself. Besides, I couldn't even hear myself think because it was so loud. So I decided to take my food with me to try to find the prayer room, get soon through my homework and most important paperwork over there. I left that lunchroom and made my way down to the adjacent wing to the stairwell and ascended through the first two floors as usual, like normal. As I reached the third floor, everything was super quiet. I was just taken back by the silence, and the entire segment was completely empty. There were no classrooms or anything in that area. It was completely and totally scarce. I quietly made my way down the hallway, and there was at the right a nice little door. Walking through and looked around exquisitely. It was a very neat, quiet little room with a beautiful rug and nice little bookshelf. Mind you, this was during prayer period, so no one would have been anywhere around this area at the time. I went in and sat down with my things and took in the solemn stillness for a moment, appreciating the silence. After, say, around 5 minutes of sitting by myself, in walks this girl who looked like an average university student. She was very pale, light-skinned, and complexion, but nothing particularly conspicuous about her. Not alarmed at all, I took a brief notice of her entrance and continued my paperwork. She sits down adjacent from where I was sitting now. Because of the room was structured and how small it was, that's not the first part where it shows me if there's a person sitting where I was. I was more expecting her to sit somewhere across from me where there's more space, but nonetheless, I didn't really notice or care. After a few moments, me and her started to chat casually about normal things like classes, particular studies and courses, things of that nature. As we were talking, she slowly yet subtly started moving closer and closer to me, eventually to the point to where our knees were almost touching, sort of diagonally across. It was then she asked me for help with a paper she was having trouble understanding. Me having a generous heart, I said, sure, we need help with. She showed me that it was that she needed more clarity on, and as I explained to her, that's when something anonymous started happening. It was just the two of us alone on the third floor of this building in a small, quiet room, and had not felt the least bit threatened by this rather skinny, pale, normal-looking girl who was about the same height as me. Neither had gotten any odd vibes from her until this moment. It was literally the scariest and strangest thing ever. It's really hard to explain how this happened. Normally, when I'm trying to explain or talking about something to someone, I would usually expect some kind of feedback, like a simple "yeah, type of gesture. But as I was explaining this paper to the girl, all I heard was silence. As I looked up for the paper to see if she understood me or was confused by anything I was saying, the expression on her face would be just utterly aloof. Her eyes pierced right through me, almost into my soul. My first thought was that she must have some sort of mental condition and just kind of zoned out, but that thought instantly disintegrated as I frantically addressed her while trying to sound as calm as I can because I was starting to sound gradually unsettled. I said to her, "Do you get it? Is everything okay?" There's absolutely no response from her whatsoever. She just sat there with a sort of half smile gazing into me, not saying a word. Then her eyes shifted subtly in a way that caused her cold expression and demeanor to exude an aura of absolute pure evil, like there are no words to describe it. Looking to her eyes was as if I was looking to the depths of hell. This feeling of unadulterated terror began to encompass me as I was starting to freak out inside, like I was having an internal mental breakdown. I was completely frozen with shock and fear as I've never known. I was paralyzed with such extreme fear, I couldn't bring myself to move a muscle. Her eyes grew larger as this demonic scowl formed on her face. I knew that I needed to leave at once. My heart was starting to feel like it was swelling up in my throat as tears began to fill my eyes from the amount of sheer terror I felt. Though I didn't cry yet, I couldn't move because I was so scared, but I had to get out of there. I knew that I was alone on the third floor and that no one in the hall would be able to buffer me from her diabolic fixation, which made my soul scream inside me, breaking me down all the more. I was shouting internally at myself to leave because I didn't know what would transpire next. She was saying something I couldn't make sense of, but I didn't care. I just wanted to get away from her, trying desperately to will myself to move, and I was panicking internally. Honestly, I've never felt so alone in my entire life like that. I was in that moment. The pure, absolute dread and such primal sense of ego was so thick in the atmosphere. It's like nothing I've ever experienced before. Then somehow, out of nowhere, she goes back to normal and tells me she's going to use the restroom as if nothing happened. Back to her mundane, bubbly self, the girl then left the room. However, the feeling of sheer terror was still present as I knew that this ordeal was not over. My gut was shouting, telling me it was my final chance to escape because I didn't get myself moving at once. What was come with it within moments would be nothing short of devastating. In a rush of fierce desperation, I managed to burst out of my petrified condition. My heart sank as I noticed that a lot of things were still on the floor. With sheer desperation, I frankly started cramming my papers, my laptop, my food, and all my other belongings in my bag without order. I didn't know exactly how long this took, but it felt like this task was taking me forever to finish. The degree of imminent danger I felt was grave. I was seized by such trepidation and dread. I felt like I was going to vomit, and my hands were trembling uncontrollably. Almost to the point of hysteria, I prayed hellaciously that the girl would not come back before I left that room. I was almost finished packing my things as bright as I was about to stand up. Then she was walking slowly towards me. My heart nearly stopped as I noticed her, and a thrill of impending doom surged me as time itself seemed to stop completely in that very instance, like that moment you experience just before you think you'll meet your timely end within the next second. It was by far the most awful feeling I ever experienced in my time life. I seriously want to cry just remembering it. So I experienced that thrill of independent doom as she was walking slowly towards me, still not saying a word whatsoever, and that hellacious, dreadful, demonic scowl was on her face again, like before, with her eyes piercing through me, except this time she was standing, which made her whole countenance astonishingly more terrifying than before. However, I also noticed that she was completely drenched from her head down to about a midsection to what I assumed was water dripping from herself. I didn't understand this, but I had no time to analyze it. I didn't want her to see that I was in such desperation to get away from her while trying to slowly slow myself down, but keeping a steady pace and hiding my trepidation as best I could, and at all costs of trying to avoid eye contact with her, or else it could spell disaster. I let myself slip up even a little, or even lock onto her eyes for even an instant. It would mess me up, or I would completely fallen apart, and then I don't know what would happen to me after that. At this point, she's almost standing over me with my utmost and bestial fortitude. I ignored her odious behavior, including the waters dripping all over me from her drenched frame as much as I could, and I finished packing my things. I experienced a petrifying heaviness of dread, but continued to force myself to move as I arose and hesitantly walked past her, expecting her to strike me down and tear me to pieces at any moment. I felt her ghastly presence behind me and her gaze piercing into me as I drew closer to a door, but I didn't look back no matter what. These were the most painstaking and gut-wrenching moments of my life, and they seemed to drag on and on. I finally made it to a door and walked through, but the hallway seemed like it was 3 times longer than I remembered. It was such a long walk, I wanted to run so bad, but that would have given me away, and I didn't want to see how afraid I was of her, so I kept walking, still feeling her menacing glare behind me as from afar. The distance between us extended more so. I finally made it to the stairwell, and through the door, I bolted like a gazelle. To this day, I don't know how I made it down those flight of stairs without tripping and landing on my face from the way I ran. I ran until I was following around the other students in the hustle and the bustle of crowds where I felt a little more safe. I just sat down somewhere in one of the main rooms. My hands were still trembling from the ordeal while in my confusion, trying to process what the hell just happened. Although I felt much safer around the other students, I still didn't feel completely secure in my surroundings, so I kept walking. I wanted to walk all the way home where I felt completely safe and forget about what just happened to me moments ago. Somehow, I feel like there was a higher power watching over me that day, protecting me, preventing that being or whatever it was from harming me, pursuing me on my way out. I don't feel like I should have made it out of that situation. It was that feeling of absolute terror and dread that stood out to me more so than anything that day. But her eyes, I will never forget as long as I live. They were so hellish and full of utter malice and horror. They were beyond frightening. There are no scary movies horrific enough to depict what I saw in that girl's eyes or the terror that I experienced then for that matter. I don't even like to watch paranormal films because I believe there's real evil out there in the ethers, and they can even take on the form of a physical person, which is so frightening to even think about. I attended that same university for 3 additional years, and I never once seen that specific girl again. I went back to that same prayer room many times, and I haven't seen her since. Nor she even went to university. Even wondered who she was, but I never saw her again. And that's it.
That actually gave me like goosebumps and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man! I don't know how I act. I feel like the MC and that definitely had
Yeah.
a strong
That's what I was saying earlier. It could be suspense, horror, whatever. The only true terrifying, scary moments is when you know for sure you can't do nothing to fight back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oof.
Well, this
But
is.
yeah, that definitely took some energy out of me reading.
Yeah, that was well done though. That was well done.
What about you, Hostile? You got a little quick story for us to read or something you want to make up?
Nah, I
Nah.
don't have any story. I mean, unless if you guys wanna give me one, I don't really. I mean, to be honest, you guys are gonna hate me. I hate Halloween.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, I kind
Wow.
of. I did. I mean, I don't. It's not that I hate it. I just don't like scary movies or any of that. I mean, I enjoyed the stories you guys are telling though. They're pretty dope.
That happens.
Happens.
I mean, wait till you get PC and you're playing Phasmophobia with us or something.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Yes.
Monday comes out the Nightmare DLC and 2 new ghosts.
Ooh, let's
I'm
go.
excited. You said Monday?
Yeah, Monday.
Guess we know what we're doing on
They
Monday.
added
Yeah, now we know what we're doing on Monday.
a game
Pretty
on
much the
Game
whole
Pass.
week because I'll probably still be busy with college and stuff that day, but I know that's what I've mostly been kind of doing today and mostly going to be doing tomorrow and Monday itself. But after that, this whole next week, I'm basically Gucci for a long time.
Hmm?
But
They're
I'll getting back to the topic and everything real quick. So
Also, did you have something to say?
No, I was just saying that apparently they added a game on the Game Pass that's kind of like Phasmophobia. Apparently, it's called
oh,
Visage.
Ooh.
Visage or
Yeah,
whatever.
Visage or something like that. Yeah, I was looking at
That's
it
actually a really terrifying game.
Oh, is
Like a
it?
lot of people that's played Phasmophobia even said that game is scarier.
Oh.
Yep.
See,
Is that game
my
multiplayer?
No,
Oh,
we gotta realize most horror games are not really multiplayer.
yeah.
my friends thought it would be a great idea to go ahead and bring me to a haunted house on
Oh.
the 5th, but it's the 13th floor haunted house, which is like the one where they can like do whatever. You have to sign waivers.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have.
And they want me to do the night one, like the complete dark one. And it's gonna be a group of friends, and the only light source you have is one glow stick.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
am terrified, and I don't want to go. And apparently, they can take that from you, and then you would have to finish it in the dark. And I really don't want to go.
Yeah, they have those in.
I
They have
have
one of
to.
those in Pennsylvania.
Carry crucifix.
There's one in
Crucifix,
Pennsylvania.
exactly.
It's like you're like in a prison, and the whole prison is just like a big like haunted house.
I don't
I think
do.
Ohio has a state prison that's like that.
Yeah,
Like the
I
whole
don't do that. That's where I draw the line.
The only
I
haunted
mean,
house I went in was a
Louisville,
Six Flags.
Kentucky has the most haunted insane asylum.
That's true.
And
But,
I don't know about Texas, but all I know is that we have the Goatman's Bridge.
Oh, the Goat Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I've-
have the
Goatman's
Jersey
Bridge.
Devil.
That is true. Actually,
the South's got really a lot of weird stuff. Technically,
the Bell
like I
Witch.
said, I have the Dead Trolls little playground near me. North Carolina has the spots where no soil or any plant can grow on,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of bridges. Like you said, there's a lot of bridges and stuff around us that's usually terrified and everything. But it's not only in like horror and everything, just a lot of places like you'll like when you're sitting there going through even through the woods, especially sometimes in the south, you may come across like fucking just weird people just so out of touch with civilization.
Mm-hmm. Ain't
I
that
know
the
up
truth?
north there's it's like a urban legend with like the deer.
Wendigo,
The Wendigo?
Yeah.
It's Algonquin folklore. It's mostly
Mhm.
around New York and Pennsylvania.
They
Crazy.
Like
I know in New Jersey there's well they call it the New Jersey Devil.
Mhm.
Apparently it's like it's like a flying devil. But I don't know.
I've heard about that, yeah. Actually, Iron Daddy and I, Connor, we did like a whole deep dive, and to me, the Jersey Devil was one of the few that actually like stood out because like just like the accounts of it and stuff like that. I don't know. It's definitely something to like look deeper into. But also, the images they gave us were funny. I'm not gonna lie. It looked like a goat with wings. Like the little images they gave us, but I have seen like other depictions, and those are a lot better. But no, the Wendigo, the one that Maddie brought up, I feel like that's definitely something that you hear about, but don't always necessarily know about. So, Trey, do you know how to explain the Wendigo to those who may not know?
There's many depictions itself of the Wendigo. Mostly the biggest thing, it's like a deer person itself, but there's some that it's very skinny. Like let's say Siren Head and on the 096 type skinny.
Mm-hmm.
There's some to where it's like think of the Witcher, think of the shorts and the other big antler monsters, or some depictions that it's like one of those. It's many depictions of the Wendigo itself, but one thing is that's very common, very skinny, long claws, and it has a insatiable hunger.
Oh yeah, and it's especially like scary, like um, you know, there are stories out there, even dating back to like before the Europeans come up here of like this creature and stuff like that, right?
Uh-huh.
And like these things can get really graphic, like stories of like hearing like someone like speaking to you, or like hearing the voice of an animal, like just outside, just like waiting for you or something like that. I don't know. For me, it definitely is those type of horror where like you fall into a trap of what do you call it, identity, where you believe you think you know the person, only find out this person is not who they say they are, or for that matter, what you understand of reality is getting warped by an entity beyond your control in a way.
Yep.
Definitely something to think about. Actually, speaking about that, have you ever delved into like any analog horror stories like Local 58, Gemini Entertainment Theater, or the new one like people are talking about, Mandela Catalog?
No.
So, for a quick explanation of what those are, essentially they're a series of like quote unquote found tapes of sorts, right? And these found tapes essentially, they're analog because they're found tapes or whatever. But they detail like a series of events, or like a series of things that kind of like mess with the world, right? like in Local 58, there's a series of like news broadcasts, children television shows, or something like that. That with let's go into spoilers. Basically, dictate how the moon and is having like an adverse effect on humans. To the point it's basically like mind controlling them and such, right? And it's like this super like surreal sort of environment that these analog horror stories like depict. The Mandela Effect kind of does the same. Like not Mandela Effect, Mandela Catalog Volume 1, in which
Yeah.
there are these things called the alternative, like the alternates, right? Which can be there's like 3 types. There's type 1, which are called the doppelgangers, which are essentially what it does. They're like an alternate like being that tries to mimic someone else, right? And they're really close to doing that, right? But then there's type 2, which is called a detectable, which it's its own class. It's kind of like you kind of have to watch like the first video of that. It's freaky, definitely recommend. But there's type 3, which in my opinion I feel like is like the freakiest one of them all. They're actually their actual type name is redacted, but essentially, and the basis of a type 3 alternate is that they try to mimic someone, but they have like a huge disfiguration in how they mimic someone, right? Like the face might be extruded. They might have like an overly sized hand, or they might even be like the features inverse or reverse or lacking thereof, right? And I feel like it's that type of like a body horror, like seeing someone without a face walking around, that I feel like really changes how what do you call it? Really gets you at that primal fear instinct, right? Oh, maybe it's just me. Yeah, maybe it's just I just hate seeing people's faces like skewed. But when I first saw that, man, did I feel like I was gonna have nightmares at night?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to bring up a story. It's not really a story. It's like it's basically just an urban legend that I kind of grew up with when I was in Wisconsin. So we have our own kind of legend of like this monster called like a hodag. It's basically like the story behind that. It's from where is it from? Let me see. I kind of forgot. Give me a second. Oh, it's from Rylander, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Basically, what this is it says according to legends, and I'm pulling this from National Cryptid Society because I was trying to remember it. The creature was originally an ox that aided the local lumberjacks by dragging the large logs that they cut out of the forest, and then when the ox died after many years of hard work, is reincarnated as the vicious hodag. They say that this transformation was the result of the ox burning anger at being worked like a slave in the life. And apparently, after it turned into a monster, it began to like kill either the local lumberjacks or kind of like their animals or whatever. And apparently after that, more oxen were eventually transformed. That now supposedly a whole bunch of these hodags are now lingering in the Rylander forests, and it's just like a huge tourist attraction we have up north. So I kind of find those interesting when you have like state little urban legends or whatnot. But apparently it has like a where does it describe it? Like a head of a frog.
Oh.
It has a head of a frog, the face of an elephant, and the back of a dinosaur with huge claws and a long tail tipped with spears. Here, let me send you a picture of this of the statue we have here.
This is kind of freaky. Like, imagine seeing that in the woods or something.
And apparently they're like really small.
Oh.
Apparently, but this is the Rylander Hodeg monster.
No. Yeah, that's definitely freaky.
Like, imagine a whole bunch of those just running around. Like, I couldn't.
Yeah, no, I definitely like freak out or something.
Yeah, I think I'd scream.
Like, you scream and like, guys, look what I found, and they just wanted like a body of a frog, a head of a frog, and a body of a dinosaur. What were you on?
Right?
I think Maddie would like that too much.
Oh wow.
Turning into a frog.
Oh, I
Oh.
love frogs. I wouldn't mind, but I don't think I want to go around killing people as like a half frog, half elephant, half dinosaur looking thing. I don't have any like rage or revenge on people in the afterlife.
I guess you never know until you know, right?
Right. Maybe there's just like this one person eventually in life, right?
It's hostile.
Man. Oh, man, I really want to turn into a Hodeg just to scare the living out of Hostile.
Yeah, it's because all this cancel Maddie propaganda that he's been spreading, right?
Oh my god. Yeah. Him and his little lieutenants over there. Just trying to cancel me for no reason.
There's always a reason.
I have nothing to do with any of those kids.
There's a big reason. We just won't go into it right now. Okay.
Alrighty though. Oh shit. Alright, so it's been a long 2 hours, been fun as well. We're about to conclude this whole Halloween special.
Feels nice, yeah.
I totally should invest in getting a stick and a little trash can lid so I can make thunder noises.
That'll be fun as shit.
He said thunder noises.
Bom, bom, bom.
But yeah, as we progress to a conclusion of this episode, one shout out for a little bit. So, Reload's definitely got a lot of projects going on and everything. Starting to work on our old VPN. I know most of y'all probably heard about CyberSmart and everything. I'm still trying to work with them and stuff like that. But Reload for sure is we're working on our program and everything, but there's no set deadline of when this will come out. But also want to give a little insight of something that will be coming out involving Valorant. It's going to be really, really special. Just keep an eye on our socials and everything. Y'all got any other endpoints, guys?
I just want to thank, both Maddie and Hostile for joining us. It was nice having them on the special, talking about their own experiences and sharing their own stories. Stuff like
No, I mean, I'm glad to be here
that.
and a part of the Reload studio and stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
I gotta actually thank Azazel for letting me be a part of this. I mean, you guys are cool as hell.
Are you?
Huh?
Just kidding. What about you, Maddie? Got any last inputs you want to put out or anything?
Oh, don't give me ideas because I can just ramble on for hours. No, not really. I just also want to, thank you for. I know I just randomly popped in, but it was really fun. But thank you for letting me take a part of this podcast. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun.
But
For sure.
what about you, Ray? You got any last inputs?
I want to give a little quick thanks to the viewers and all that stuff. You guys are the ones who help make this like podcast a dream and all that stuff. Also, I used to make this like fun doing, right? But also a quick little note about Res and stuff. We're working hard. We're still working on our projects. We've been giving out lots of info. You can see some dev streams from the devs in our our studio and stuff, and we're hoping we'll get our progress out there. And thank you guys for basically joining us on this journey and game development in general. So thank you guys, and thank you for staying with us even all the times. Yeah.
Yep. Alright, that's going to conclude this episode. Keep an eye out for any other specials rest of the year. But remember, season 2 will start on New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be going over game news that'll be going over in 2022 and everything. And that's going to be a very, very big year if y'all remember our episodes from this year. But don't forget Forza Horizon 5. I'm not too sure about PlayStation exclusives. I know about Call of Duty Vanguard, Battlefield 2042,
GTA.
and
Oh,
Halo
GTA.
Infinite. Yes, that's what it is. It's been announced that GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition, San Andreas, Vice City, and 3 will be getting remastered.
That's freaking exciting.
Indeed.
Definitely a lot
So
to
yeah,
look forward
just
to.
keep an eye out and everything for our Twitter at Reload ENT Studios.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, if y'all are listening live and everything, y'all can check in our bios and everything, and also be on Anchor. But appreciate all y'all coming by, and that would be it for me.
Hasta luego. Thank you for stopping by.
Bye, guys.
Bye.